Urologist 4. Dangerous masturbation. Mistakes after 60 that are silently harming older men. Health aura. Know it right, live it light. What if one private habit you've done for decades is now quietly working against your health, and you don't even know it? If you're a man over 60, it's time to take a closer look at something you probably consider harmless: masturbation. Sounds strange, right? After all, it's natural, normal, even healthy. But here's the catch. Your body isn't the same as it was at 30 or 40. Urologist and men's health expert with over 30 years of experience helping men stay strong, energized, and sexually healthy well into retirement. What I've seen in my practice may surprise you. It's not the act of masturbation that's the problem. It's how you're doing it. Certain techniques, patterns, and even emotional triggers can silently damage your prostate health, weaken your erections, and drain your energy over time. And most men don't notice until it's too late. In this video, I'll reveal the 4 most common and dangerous masturbation mistakes men over 60 make. And the 4th one? Even your doctor probably hasn't mentioned it. So, are you ready to protect your vitality and make smarter choices as you age? If this hits home, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 and tell me how I can better support your journey to better health. 1. Forcing pleasure instead of feeling it. A common trap for men over 60. One of the most overlooked yet widespread mistakes that many older men make, often without realizing, is trying to force an erection or rush toward orgasm, even when their body is clearly signaling it needs a different approach. This silent but serious misstep often stems from habit, frustration, and a lack of updated understanding about how sexual health evolves with age. It's not uncommon for a man in his 60s or 70s to sit in my office, clearly bewildered and discouraged, saying things like, "It used to happen so easily. Now, I have to try harder just to feel something." What he's unknowingly describing is a gradual but damaging shift, trying to make his body perform the way it did in his 30s, even though it now needs something entirely different. As men age, there are natural and expected changes in blood flow, nerve sensitivity, and hormone levels. These biological shifts mean that sexual response becomes more nuanced, more sensitive, and more dependent on mental and emotional factors, not just physical stimulation. But the problem is that many men never adjust. They continue using the same techniques they always have: strong grip, fast movements, and a mindset focused purely on reaching climax. And when that no longer brings the same satisfaction, the instinct is to push harder, physically and emotionally, to make it happen. This habit of forcing pleasure can be deeply counterproductive, even harmful. Rushing climax when the body isn't fully aroused can cause irritation in the urethra, micro-tears in penile tissue, and excessive pressure on the pelvic muscles. More importantly, it can stress the prostate, which naturally becomes more vulnerable with age. Over time, this can contribute to chronic groin discomfort, reduced sensitivity, and even ongoing inflammation, all without obvious external signs. There's no visible damage, no immediate pain, just a slow, quiet decline in sensation, responsiveness, and confidence. And the more that's lost, the harder many men try to reclaim it through force, creating a cycle that only deepens the problem. Eventually, this can lead to more serious complications: erectile difficulties, persistent pelvic tension, and prostate enlargement. These aren't just sexual issues. They can affect sleep, urination, and overall quality of life. And yet, most men don't trace these symptoms back to their sexual habits. They blame aging itself, unaware that simple changes in approach could have made a world of difference. The truth is, aging doesn't mean the end of sexual fulfillment. It simply demands a shift in how we connect with our bodies. Rather than treating sex as a goal to achieve, it must become a process to explore. Slower, more mindful touch, attention to sensation rather than outcome, breathing, relaxation, and patience. These are the new tools of satisfaction. When men stop viewing their bodies as broken machines and start engaging with them as changing, responsive systems, everything begins to shift. Sensation returns, confidence rebuilds, and intimacy, both with self and others, becomes more rewarding than ever. 2. The hidden cost of pornography. After 60, reclaiming true intimacy and pleasure. There's a silent habit that can gradually erode not just your physical desire, but your emotional vitality. And it often goes unnoticed until the damage has already begun. Mistake number 2. Relying on pornography as your only source of sexual stimulation. I remember clearly the expression on a patient's face during a conversation that began with a simple question. He was 67, intelligent, reflective, and genuinely concerned. "Doctor," he said quietly, "I don't feel anything anymore unless I'm watching something online. And even then, it's not like it used to be." That quiet confession, a mixture of confusion, sadness, and shame, is one I've heard from countless men navigating their later years. And it points to something far more common and far more damaging than many realize. You see, as we age, our nervous systems change. The brain doesn't process pleasure and stimulation the same way it once did. High-intensity content, the kind found in online pornography, delivers an overwhelming surge of dopamine, the brain's pleasure chemical. While this might seem like a harmless outlet, it sets off a pattern of overstimulation that your brain can't sustain. Over time, the brain adapts. It becomes numb, desensitized. What once brought arousal and satisfaction begins to feel muted or hollow. Gentle touch, real-world intimacy, emotional connection, these start to lose their spark. You find yourself reaching for more extreme content, longer sessions, more frequent escapes, but none of it scratches the itch in the way it once did. This is not a moral judgment. This is neuroscience. The overuse of pornography, especially as your brain becomes more sensitive to dopamine imbalance with age, can quietly dismantle your natural capacity for pleasure and connection. Your reward system gets hijacked. What once thrilled you now barely moves the needle. And as your physical desire wanes, a more insidious effect takes hold: emotional disconnection. Many older men report feeling a deepening sense of isolation. They feel emotionally distant from their partners. Some report struggling with sadness, anxiety, or even depression, without realizing that their private habits may be at the core of these emotional shifts. The most heartbreaking thing? Many of these men never saw it coming. They didn't realize that something done alone, in silence, could ripple outward into their relationships, their confidence, and their sense of identity. But here's the good news. It's not too late. The brain is remarkably plastic, even after 60. With awareness and intentional action, you can begin to rewire your responses and rediscover the deep satisfaction that real intimacy provides. Start by reducing your reliance on screens. Instead, lean into memory, imagination, sensual reading, or simply allowing time for natural desire to return. Explore touch and closeness with your partner, not as a performance, but as a shared human experience. With time, you'll begin to notice something incredible. Your ability to feel returns. Desire becomes real again. Pleasure becomes possible again. Connection, the kind that fills you emotionally and not just physically, becomes available again. The goal isn't to give something up, it's to get something back. Yourself. 3. The silent drain. How overmasturbation can quietly steal your energy. After 60, imagine waking up each morning with a fog in your mind and a heaviness in your body, feeling like you've slept, yet never truly rested. The zest for life dulls. Hobbies once filled with joy, gardening, bike rides, meaningful conversations, now feel more like obligations. You might think, this must be aging. But what if your body has been whispering a truth you've overlooked? There is a quiet mistake that many men make, a habit so private, so normalized, that it often escapes reflection. It doesn't appear harmful at first. In fact, it can even seem like a comfort, an escape. But over time, it erodes you from within. That mistake, masturbating too frequently for your age, energy, and hormonal rhythm. For decades, we've been told that ejaculation is always healthy, always a release. And in your 20s, 30s, even into your 40s, that may have held true. Your body bounced back quickly. Energy was abundant. But past 60, your system plays by new rules. Hormonal recovery slows, your nervous system becomes more delicate, and every drop of energy must be treated like gold. One man, age 71, came forward with this very dilemma. He was in reasonable health, yet plagued by fatigue, irritability, and foggy concentration. His sleep was fractured, and his motivation slipping away. After deep conversation and honest self-inquiry, the truth came forward. He was masturbating daily, sometimes even twice a day, believing it would relax him. In reality, it was depleting him. You see, post-ejaculatory fatigue isn't just psychological. Ejaculation triggers a cascade of biochemical reactions: oxytocin release, dopamine drop, prolactin spike, and most importantly, a temporary decrease in testosterone. When done occasionally, the body recovers. But repeated too often, especially in a fatigued or stressed state, this can lead to long-term energy depletion, disrupted sleep cycles, and a dulling of emotional vitality. Worse still, this drain unfolds in silence. You don't feel it right away. But after weeks or months of excess, you start waking up groggy. Your interest in life dims. You chalk it up to getting older. But really, your body is asking for conservation, not indulgence. Does this mean giving up self-pleasure? Absolutely not. Sexual expression remains a vital part of health and well-being at any age. The key is to align your habits with your body's capacity. For many men over 60, reducing frequency to once or twice per week brings noticeable improvements: clearer focus, calmer moods, deeper sleep, and a return of vitality. Some men also discover new ways of engaging with sexual energy through non-ejaculatory touch, sensual massage, or deeper emotional connection. These forms nourish rather than drain, allowing intimacy without the crash. The invitation is simple but profound. Stop treating your body like a machine. It is not meant to be pushed, but listened to. It is wise. It knows when to release and when to rest. And when you begin to honor that wisdom, something shifts. You no longer chase energy. You embody it. In the end, strength isn't reclaimed through more output. It is restored by doing less, with more care. Let that become your new rhythm. Let your energy return, not by force, but by trust. 4. The hidden strain. How a neglected habit silently sabotages your prostate health. Have you ever noticed a discomfort you couldn't quite explain? A subtle tension in your lower abdomen, a pressure after release that lingers longer than it should, or the quiet urgency of your bladder in the middle of the night? Many men shrug it off. It's just age, they think. But what if that wasn't true? What if one of the most overlooked routines in your life, the way you touch yourself, was silently reshaping your health from the inside out? Let me take you on a journey, not into fear, but into understanding, into a part of your body that most men ignore until it's too late. The prostate, a walnut-sized gland tucked deep in your pelvis, easy to forget but essential to your comfort, your control, and your vitality. And yet, this tiny organ often bears the brunt of one of the most misunderstood behaviors in male health: self-pleasure. There's a truth that rarely gets spoken. The way you masturbate matters. It's not about shame or guilt, it's about mechanics, posture, pressure, and the silent messages your body sends that you've been trained to ignore. I once had a patient in his late 60s, healthy, active, mentally sharp, who came to me with an odd complaint. Nothing acute or alarming, just an ongoing sense that something was off. A heaviness after climax, a sense of incomplete release. Frequent nighttime urination that seemed to creep in gradually. He hadn't connected it to his solo habits. Why would he? He'd done things the same way since his 20s. But therein lay the problem. You see, the prostate doesn't age like the rest of your body. It becomes more reactive, more sensitive to inflammation and pressure as the years go by. Masturbation while slouched in a chair, bearing down unknowingly on the perineum, or repeatedly skipping urination after ejaculation creates a microenvironment of strain. And over time, that adds up. What starts as a small irritation can evolve into chronic tension, pelvic discomfort, or low-level inflammation, known clinically as prostatitis. You might notice burning during urination, weaker stream, or just an unshakable feeling of unease in your lower body, and yet it remains unspoken. Most men don't realize the connection. They change their diet, buy supplements, or just accept it as a normal part of aging. But it's not. The truth is, your body is whispering to you, gently at first, then more insistently. And when you learn to listen, everything can change. Just a few mindful shifts, urinating after climax to cleanse the urethra, changing posture to reduce pelvic pressure, softening the intensity and frequency of stimulation, can have a profound ripple effect. You're not giving up pleasure. You're preserving it. You're protecting something sacred, the quiet strength of your body and your ability to feel safe and at ease in it. This isn't about restriction, it's about evolution, about stepping into a more informed version of yourself, where every action, even the most private, supports your health rather than undermines it. In the sections ahead, we'll uncover how this fourth mistake affects your prostate over time, and more importantly, how you can reverse the damage with simple, effective changes starting today. If you've been feeling a little off lately, maybe not in a painful way, but more like a quiet shift in your energy or desire, or just feeling less like yourself. I want you to know you're not the only one, and you're definitely not broken. A lot of men over 60 start noticing these subtle changes. Maybe your arousal isn't as strong. Maybe climax doesn't feel the same. Or maybe you just feel disconnected from your body in a way you can't quite explain. And the truth is, most of us were never taught how to take care of this part of ourselves, especially as we get older. We were taught to be strong, to power through, to never talk about the private stuff. And so we just keep doing things the same way we always have, hoping for the same results, even when our bodies are clearly telling us something has shifted. That's why this conversation matters. Because right now, you have a chance to stop and listen, not just to me, but to yourself, to your body, to what it's been trying to say in quiet ways, not with pain or panic, but with gentle signals that it's time to care for yourself differently. The habits you've carried for decades around self-pleasure may have served you in the past, but now they may be slowly working against you, without you even realizing it. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because your body has different needs now. And if you've ever found yourself forcing a release when your erection isn't strong, or relying too much on porn for arousal, or maybe just going through the motions too frequently without checking in with how you actually feel, or ignoring your prostate's needs after climax, then it's possible these habits are quietly draining your energy, fogging your clarity, and even affecting how you connect with others. But this is not about guilt. It's not about shame. It's about awareness and choice. It's about realizing that you can change the way you relate to your body, starting right now. Not from a place of pressure, but from a place of care. Because your body is not a machine. It's not meant to be pushed and ignored and then expected to perform on demand, especially as you age. It's meant to be listened to, respected, and supported. And that starts with something simple: slowing down, not treating pleasure like a race, but like a moment of connection, allowing arousal to build naturally, giving yourself permission to touch yourself with curiosity and care, maybe stepping away from the screen and back into your senses, maybe asking, what would feel good for me right now? Not, what should I do out of habit? And maybe even choosing to rest sometimes, rather than release. Because pleasure isn't always about climax. Sometimes it's about presence, about feeling truly in your body again. This is not about giving up on your sexuality. It's about deepening it. This is not about less masculinity. It's about fuller masculinity. Because true strength isn't just about performance. It's about sensitivity. It's about having the courage to do things differently, to listen, to evolve. And when you do that, you start to reclaim parts of yourself that might have gone quiet over the years. I've spoken with men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s who made these small but meaningful shifts. And what they found wasn't just better sex. They found better connection with themselves, with their partners, with life. They felt more alive, more grounded, more present. And that is possible for you too. But it starts with one simple step, one decision to change one habit. Maybe it's giving yourself more time. Maybe it's touching yourself more gently. Maybe it's asking your body what it needs, instead of assuming it should work like it always has. These small changes matter, because they build a new kind of relationship between you and your body. A relationship built on respect, not routine. And when that happens, everything else starts to feel better. Your energy, your mood, your sleep, even your confidence. This is your invitation to enter a new chapter, not defined by decline, but by wisdom, by awareness, by real strength. And if this message resonates with you, if you feel like you've been seen or heard, maybe for the first time in a long while, I hope you'll stick around, because this is just the beginning. In the next guide, I'm going to show you some specific ways you can support your erections, care for your prostate, and recharge your energy naturally, without pills, without gimmicks, and without shame. But for now, I want you to do just one thing. Thank your body for speaking to you, and then decide what small change you're going to make today. Not tomorrow, not someday, but today. Because this part of your life still matters. Your pleasure still matters. Your connection still matters. And you are not broken. You are not behind. You are not alone. You are simply being invited into a deeper, more connected, more powerful version of yourself. And if that sounds like a journey you're ready for, then like this video, follow this page, and maybe even share it with a friend who could use this reminder too. Because every man deserves to feel alive, to feel pleasure, and to feel proud of the man he's becoming, no matter his age. And that includes you.